and welcome to Unwarranted Music Opinions. This is Chaz Jenkins, and my two co-hosts are lame and decided not to be available for today, so we're flying solo. But it's not a dull moment when we've got a Memphis rap legend, Blackout, here with me today. Man, how you doing?
How you doing, brother? How you doing, bro?
So
Appreciate that. Good.
Let's just not waste any time. You definitely stand out in the Memphis rap scene. You with your debut tape, Dreamworld. It's definitely one of the more well-known pieces of Memphis rap. That was a very competitive scene. Talking with a few other Memphis rap artists, was it like that for you? How would you describe the scene for you when you were creating that debut tape?
Dreamworld. Well, really, man. At the time, like I started young, so a lot of that sprung out of high school. I just kind of wanted to do something edgy. The Memphis scene at the time, we had DJ Paul, Squeaky, DJ Sound, Zerk, the likes of them type guys. I grew up, like on Spanish Fly. My stepdad, growing up in the hood, I heard a lot of Spanish Fly. So the Memphis thing was kind of, it wasn't, just full on super duper established yet, but it was kind of getting to that point, in my era. Because, I came up, like when I started producing, I was like around like, man, I want to say about like 15, somewhere in there. I was just inspired, by, a lot that was really going on around me. As far as the music go, I was always into music, but I just wanted to create my own little sound, my little swag, or whatever. And at the time, I was kind of paying attention to what was going around, but it had got to a point where I got so into what I was doing, and mastering my craft and my own sound to where it's just shit. By the time I came up in era, I was like one of the hottest, on the underground scene. So
And was it a competitive for you? Tom Ski Mask, when we talked to him.
Well, it wasn't. I can't. I didn't really feel. Not to say that the competition went out there, but I didn't feel like I was really competing with nobody. I always kind of in my own lane, and I was getting a good response for what I was doing. So, like I said, coming out of high school, and my name started ringing bells, all around Memphis, so. I got to actually see a lot of these guys work, and like going to the tape spots like Mr. Z's. I got to see a lot of the guys going to Mr. Z's, dropping the tapes off, and I kind of followed suit what I saw people doing, as far as but I was just kind of in my own lane, because I remember the first tape I actually came out with, it wasn't Dreamworld. I actually did a few more projects before that. Kind of experimental, kind of serious, but I had a little group called the Assassin Style Killers, before Player Posse. And I was just trying to create my own little thing. And my first tape, man, I actually went and bought cassette tapes, and the little sticker, the little white paper sticker, I made my own tapes, we wrote on them, you know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't necessarily, like I said, in competition, it wasn't competitive for me per se, because I was always doing my own thing, and every time I put something out, it was a go. So,
And I think the most
experience,
the most notable thing about Dreamworld is its eerie production.
For sure.
What kind of equipment were you using then, and how has that changed now? Tom said working with that equipment back in the day was just awful for him. Was it like that for you? And has it been?
Oh no, it was the best thing in the world for me, because when I first started, I first started. Anybody know me? I had the X3. I put that cat out the bag a few years back, but I was using the Korg X3 and the DR660. That was it, man. All the way up until like the stuff I was doing for Fly and all that. Nobody needs nobody, yada yada. I was using the DR660 and the Korg X3, man. Like stuff I was doing for Snub Nose, but it's with the Dreamworld sound. That was a sound that I was crafting because, to be honest with you, like it was like an outlet for me, you know, as you know, growing up, because you know, I used to like rock music, and you know, I still listen to some of it to this day, but rock music, like the heavy stuff, you know, and then you know the hardcore street rap, you know, and that sound, you know, even like a lot of the horror movies and like little stuff I used to like that I was into as a kid, I just put that all into one sound, you know, and they started calling me Psycho Sounds. So I took that, and when they started calling me Psycho Sounds, I was like, yeah, okay, that's what I'm finna, you know, I'm finna drive it home, you know. So that's how that happened, you know what I mean? I just was creating a sound that was not very musical, more dramatic, and kind of like embodying shit that I was seeing around me, shit I was going through, you know, coming up in the hood, and I just wanted to give it a soundtrack, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, from the way I was seeing shit, you know.
And when you listen to the record, there's a really interesting thing about it that for me stands out amongst other Memphis rap albums, and that's the repeating, the remixing of phrases. You know, Midnight Murder, that chorus sticks out to me.
Right.
What was that process like when you would try and repeat a phrase and kind of like that would be the chorus?
Well, for me, I had this little sampler that I had got from Radio Shack, as well as the little mixer that I used to run my little vocal effects through. People always asking me like, "How you get that sound?" I just had like the little standard Radio Shack, but what I did was I bought this little sampler, Radio Shack. Well, it was really like a little crossfade, a little you know, for records or whatever. But it had like this little sampler button on it, and I was sampling like little phrases, like you said, from the you know, from the songs that we was doing, you know, because I didn't want to too much sample other people's stuff. I was real big on not sampling other people's stuff. But a few occasions where it slipped, you know, like that. But songs that we would drop that we never put out, it was certain phrases that I would like from them songs. So I would take them and put it in that little mixer. And when I was doing it, it reminded me a lot of what Paul and Squeaky, you know, how they used to do the mixtapes and with the little, have a little different, you know, but they used to have multiple options to do so because they had all them pads on their drum machine. I just had like this one little sampler to work with, so I had to make it work. It would only sample a phrase at a time. So a lot of times we'll scream them, get repetitive with it over the mic. We'll just say it over and over again. It wouldn't, you know, I didn't sample it. But to give it a certain sound, sometimes I would sample it in my little sampler. It was like a little Gemini sampler. I think that was the name of it. And yeah, man, I used to sample phrases that we would say on songs that I would like and just throw it over the beat, and boom.
When you look at the track listing, you've got artists such as Lil Coop, Lil E, Player Posse that kind of contributed to the tape. Any notable stories or experiences when you guys were in the booth together?
Well, first of all, the booth was my closet with the microphone over the door with the sock on it. You dig what I'm saying? With the bed, with the little stuff from the bed in the closet, you know, like the little egg shell cushioner things or whatever. So I had that going, my own little makeshift studio. And them days was just like, man, skipping school, leaving school early, staying up all night in the sessions, you know. Sometimes we'd be in a room about 5, 6 deep, you know. We just be vibing off each other, you know, like we was all kind of, you know, we had our own little lanes, you know. We was kind of like, you know, everybody that was with me, you know, they was like a boss in their own lane, you know. So like, you know, like Lil Slim, like he kind of was like in the Heights, you know, he was really the ambassador for the Heights, you know. You know, we from Binghamton, you know, Coop and E, you know, them my guys, they from the hood, you know. You know, they was real popular, known for, you know, like Coop, you know, he could cut hair and he could juke real good. You know, that's the Memphis juking style of dancing, you know. So it was just a vibe, we were just in the lab vibing all the time, coming up with these songs.
What I've noticed talking with some other Memphis rappers is a lot of them don't have their OG tapes anymore for whatever reason. Do you still have
Yeah.
some of those old school tapes on your hand?
Oh yeah, man. Fortunately for me, somehow I was able to manage to keep them, have them over the years. I was just recently fortunate enough to actually find the 4-track, the stuff I used to record this stuff on, and pull some of this stuff back up. So just on that note, my fans can get ready for some of these releases that I never actually release. Some of these releases never made it as far as the neighborhood. you know, somehow, it may have spread it out, a little bit over time, but for the most part, most of these songs were, just meant to be, heard, in our areas. It's kind of the stuff to put us on. We was performing at the, little events and stuff like that, the stuff that made us popular. Because, back in the days, it wasn't no social media. So, you really had to be good, or really have a movement. We had a real movement, you know what I mean? So that's how we got, popular so fast, we had a strong, and then we was all serious about what we was doing. So.
And, it took us a while to get this interview going because you said you were super busy. And that
I stay busy, bro. I'm literally, I got an artist I'm getting ready to work with now. We in the lab now, man, and I'm ripping and running. I'm trying to eat. As you heard me talking earlier. I was trying to feed my face,
So
what's been a lot going on, man?
What's been coming down the pipe? What has Blackout been working on lately that's kept him so busy?
Well, between my personal life and all this stuff, I am in Memphis, so there's a lot going on in the city, a lot of maintaining and a lot of stuff that have to be did, but as far as like on the music side, I've been finishing up a few projects outside of my own stuff, because I do produce and work with other artists, and and I get sessions, and I'm engineering, and so yeah, man. So between the projects and and then I got a few bands I work with as far as like live bands. So I got my hands in a few things, still the same scenario when I was younger, but of course, we full on adults now, so it's a lot more responsibility. So, yeah, I stay busy at both ends.
Family, during that time staying busy, how has your perception of the scene changed? I'm sure it's very different now than it was back in the 90s.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, a lot of stuff now is being taken for granted. What I see musically, a lot of things that we had to do back then just to get certain things did, we had to go through a little more. Like for instance, like even down to the way we drop songs. It wasn't no Pro Tools, and you can go back and fix this. We had to get it right first time around, which made us actually the truth, because, the mistakes, we weren't super perfect in them, but the goal was to try to be perfect, so we had to work a little harder, and it really made us really master our craft because we had to do a little more. It was like boot camp, I had to spend more hours in the studio, like when I was doing the bigger projects, dropping each sound track for track, doing passes, the snare, the kick, the hi-hat on its own track, we got to do the passes and sit through listen to the beat 5 times before we can even put a verse on it, that type of shit. So yeah, the game changed a lot, man. And but the upside as far as social media goes, the platform of social media has made, things more accessible now. Excuse me, bro. And you can get more hands-on with your fan base, nowadays. You can cut out a lot of the middlemen, but yeah, man, And then on another note, a lot of these cats, it's kind of got a little more less creative, if you will. I think since a lot of this equipment and stuff is made more accessible, anybody can do it now, so a lot of people, attracting their own type of element, if you like just some super silly guy that just want to, you can get a YouTube following going, or, if you just want to just talk about shooting people all day, you got that kind of element that want to listen to that all day, or, it's just like, the world been made more small, people can get to, whatever they really vibing on, but, like back then, in the 90s, like you said, man, you really had to be good. The avenues when it's open like that, and if it went, it meant you really was working at what you was, trying to do. We had to get up and put out posters and actually hand out flyers and and stuff like that. But shit, nowadays, you just post something up online and you pretty much almost good to go. Still got to do a little footwork, but not as much. And you don't have to be as good.
Yeah. And any notable experiences when you were trying to peddle tapes and stuff, hand out flyers? I'm sure you saw some crazy stuff.
Man, yeah. Oh man, we in Memphis, so man, we done been almost robbed a few times. Man, we done been pulled over by the police. They thought we were selling drugs, and yeah, man. We done had to run up on a few bootleggers, bootlegging our shit, and yeah, man. So yeah, it's we used to have to, like, I remember, the most fun thing about it for me was actually getting the music to the people. We'd be pressing up our tapes and we'd be selling our tapes at the mall, and people would come back and be like, bro, man, that shit was tight, bro, man. We want, they'll buy another one or buy one for their homeboy. So, we experienced that, so that was the good thing, that was the good thing about it. We was actually living the music too. So a lot of these cats is really, they not really, you couldn't even do a lot of that flexing like that where I'm from, because, if you get on the tape talking about you robbing this guy, you robbing that guy, you ain't known for robbing nobody, niggas gonna come see you back there. Because you got niggas that's, robbing for real, So they like, what's up? You talking about you robbing, nigga? You soft as hell out here. So, But now you can just, do whatever the fuck you want to do from the comfort of your own home. So we couldn't do that though.
Does that frustrate you how the scene has changed in that way, in terms of like
a little bit? I ain't gonna lie, a little bit. And the reason to do is because, it's kind of like anything. It's like, it's almost like this right here. It's like you've been waiting in line all day. You paid your money. You waiting in line all day, and you earned your right to get in. You done did the proper training and all of this stuff, So now it's time to, walk through the door, and then you get some guy who took all the shortcuts, and then they just, it's like, what? And then really, you're not even the truth, and you really can't put that out there publicly like that, because it make you look like you hating, So, and then especially when you start getting up in age, they be like, oh man, you just old school. And well, it's like, nah, man, y'all niggas is really whack though. Like y'all ain't, you know what I mean? So,
what would your advice be
and
to
then they
anybody
sell
who's
all the albums and they sell all the records, because it's like, I don't know, it's just crazy, But it'll get frustrating, sometimes, because you feel like, when that you really put the real work in, and sometimes, that type of stuff get looked over, and then people usually go with whatever is the gimmick, and a lot of the times, it's just a fly-by-night sensation, and next thing you know, the people is on to the next thing. So, that's the only thing about it that I can feel like, I look at and be like, well, because like I said, once again, back then, you really had, like, I usually can put some of these albums in, include some of my old stuff, and just listen to it from top to bottom and feel some type of way when I get through listening to it. I feel like I had a full experience. Nowadays, it's like you might get a song or two out of a body of work, and then it's on to the next artist, and it's on to the next artist, and then, And then you get this guy who look up with this one joint, and everybody likes it. And then, and then this guy can really barely rap, or if it wasn't for the engineers or auto-tune, it'd be total crap,
So what would your advice be to someone getting up in the scene, maybe to be more authentic or really master the rapping skills? What would your advice be?
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting you said that, because I was just telling somebody, I think what's going to happen is the next musical shift is that people are going to start going for more of the authenticity, because that's kind of starting to take a turn. I see it happening in the music a little bit, especially with a lot of the artists coming out of Cali and, these different places, because everybody getting tired of the same cookie cutter, like some stuff. Don't get me wrong, when some stuff work, it just work. But for the most part, if they're not feeling you in it, because if you notice, the only people who really make impacts is people who do something that's kind of familiar, but it's hitting you a different way, And I think that's going to become addictive, and people are going to want more of that. And that's why I feel like a lot of my older stuff is starting to kind of gain a lot of traction, because it's just honest. We weren't trying to sound like really nobody, and was doing our own thing, and when you do it that way, and I was just telling the brother this, even though at the time it seemed like people ain't getting it, or it ain't really selling, or, like you expected it to, maybe eventually, they'll catch on later, because I've always heard it. I was always ahead of my time. So, and maybe that may be my advice for somebody else. If it's not working right then and there, and if you really feel it, all I can say is just make sure it's the best of what you can put out, and try to advance on your sound. Don't try to advance on nobody else's thing, because it might not just work for you. Now, like me, I'm a musician first, so I can pretty much cater to it all, only to a certain extent, because I understand the business, I understand what works. But for the most part, people really like authentic stuff when it's coming from a real place, even if it's the street stuff. Some of these cats can barely rap, but the energy is so authentic. That's why it resonates to certain people, because they really feel the vibe. Like, for instance, like, there's no way Gucci Mane is more lyrical than, say, like a Jay-Z type guy, but he'll sell just as many records because, there's a lot of cats that really feel him like that, so.
All right. Well, 8:01 on the dot. I think that wraps it up for me. I guess to end this, I'll ask a sillier question, man. If you want to slide me one of those old school tapes, I will not I will not say no.
Hey, that's what's up, bro. I got you. Just send me your address, man, and all that, and I'll your email, and I'll get something to you. Like I said, I got a few things in the works. I'm about to get ready to do some release. I'm actually going to be re-releasing some of the stuff that was out, that's been floating around online, in the next year or so. We're going to get some things cracking on that, because I see the fans been asking me for it. So I appreciate the love, all the fans. I want to make sure I give a shout out to all my fans, because they keep me, even looking back, because, it was a time I wouldn't even look it back. I move forward, that's why I got a large body of work, because I work and I keep it moving. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on your platform.
Yeah.
Man. I know you've been reaching out to me.
We finally made it happen, Blackout, man. Thanks for hopping on the call with me, and
for sure, bro.
Hey, keep up the music, but don't forget to ever take a break every now and then. Get a vacay. Go.
Yeah, I do. Hey, one thing about me, man, I work hard and I play hard, but I work harder than I play. So.
Well, till next time, man, and we'll see you.
All right, Charles.